we are here on the blog of April, and I am here to celebrate the story of Christy. So, Christy, hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming on and opening up your heart and your story. So, let's take off with introducing who you are and what you do, and go for it.
Yeah, so my name's Christy Lepley, and I'm in Annapolis, Maryland. I'm married. I have a 2.5-year-old son, and I'm actually pregnant right now with our second.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It's new. We're in the second trimester, so yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're due in June, so we'll have another one come this June. And I'm the creator of Ambitious Soul Podcast, which is a podcast I launched back in August. So it's fairly new as well, and it's for really ambitious women that are looking to level up in their life and career. And I interview female entrepreneurs as well as I do solo episodes with mindset tips and tricks, any business information and stuff to kind of help you along your journey. I really wanted to have the podcast be showing women like the how you do things in a business, whether if it's a blog or, an audio business or anything online or brick and mortar, but like sharing other people's stories on how they did it. And so I do that. And then I also do have a full-time position I'm working right now in HR and recruiting. So I work 40 hours. So yeah, that's a lot.
A lot
going on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just launched coaching. So it's like, just throw one more thing on there too. Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay. Well, so let's talk about why we're here today. Go ahead and open up about your struggle, and we can get a little bit of a history behind it.
Yeah, sure. So it was about 2 years ago. I have a long time career in recruiting and HR. So I've been in that industry for about 13 years now, since I had graduated college, and I climbed the corporate ladder in a few big companies and like worked my way up. And I do work from home. I'd worked myself into like a working from home position, which was great. And things were fine. I made like pretty cushy money. I'm working from home. Like I make my own schedule. And right back in 2017, I got pregnant with our son. And once I had him, I never really understood the struggle of coming back from maternity leave and, having to put a small child in daycare. And I really, at that point, I just felt like I didn't have any other options. And I never felt that way in my life before. Like I'm pretty resourceful. I've always like, if I needed more money, I made it happen. But it was like, I didn't want to go back to work at that time, but I had to financially. And then we were hit with this huge daycare bill of $1,600 a month. That was, it's like a second mortgage of like, well, now we have to pay this bill for like someone else to raise my child. Basically. And it was, and I was dealing with a lot of postpartum issues at the time that I didn't really realize, with postpartum anxiety and stuff. So it was a huge struggle for me. And right around that time, I decided I was positioned about starting Rodan and Fields, like a direct sales business. And I never really been that interested in it because I had always worked full time. And I thought, well, maybe this is the thing that, can kind of help me out financially since I'm hit with this new daycare bill. So I started doing that, and I did pretty well in the beginning, just effortlessly. I really like beauty products, so I love sharing about it and doing that stuff. And I really got into the personal development side of it and really liked the team building and the camaraderie. And it was like this group of women that I didn't have access to in my corporate career. And in corporate America, a lot of the positions are, there's like one space at the top and everyone's kind of clawing their way there. And it's definitely an environment of like, well, if she wins, I do lose. Like there's only a limited number of spaces. And with direct sales, it kind of opened my eyes to, well, it wasn't taught that way. Like anyone can have the amount of success that anyone else does. So I was doing that. And then around that time, my son was he was around like 7 months old. And I went home for Christmas, and my mom and dad like sit us down, and they tell us that my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, which was a huge like shock, and that she was starting chemo like that Monday. And around the same time, my aunt, who is my mom's sister, passed away that weekend too from ovarian cancer.
Wow.
And so, yeah, she was in her early 60s too. And with ovarian cancer, it just happened really fast. Like once they discovered it, she only had like a few months left. And so I was able to fly down. She was living in Florida. So I was able to fly down to Florida with my son so she could meet him, because she's never met him before, and say bye to her and stuff. But that really, took me back. And now I have this cancer health scare that's in my family genetic history that now I have to be like on top of and aware of. And, I'm just not concerned about, I had to go get a bunch of testing done and like just really stay on top of my own health for my family's sake. And so it was like, all of that hit me on Thanksgiving weekend. Like my aunt passed away, and we found out my mom had cancer. And then it was like, well, I have to go back to work on Monday.
Wow. How,
did
you go back to work with all that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And it was like,
very strong. It
was like I didn't even have, like time to process it all. But it was just like, going through the motions. And the position I was in at the time, it was a pretty stressful position. And I was supporting a location that was on mountain time, and I live on the East Coast, and so I was having to take calls at night and stuff, which was like bedtime and bath time. So even though I worked remote, it was really weighing on me, and it wasn't really conducive to my life anymore. So I kind of just had like a mental breakdown one day.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, my husband, my son kept getting sick all the time because he was in daycare, and so he just kept getting like colds and these things. And we were supposed to go to North Carolina. My family lives in North Carolina, to visit my family, and like we couldn't go at last minute because he had a cold, and my mom was in the middle of chemo, and she couldn't be exposed to like the germs and stuff. So that was upsetting. And my husband came home from work one day, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I just felt like, I'm not with my mom, who, is battling cancer. We don't know the outcome of this. And then I'm not with my son, who's this new baby that I just fought to bring into this world. Like, I'm spending all of my days at a position that I feel pretty replaceable at. It's a job, but that's what's getting the most of my attention. So like, I had a very like, what's the point of like life moment? Like, why am I doing all of this just for a cushy salary? Like, I think there could be another way. And so I kind of like said, well, if my husband comes home, and I was like, I want to quit. And he was like, well, you can't just quit your job today.
Take your time.
Yeah, we do need some money coming in. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And we just worked it out, and within like a couple, I mean, it was like 2 or 3 weeks, I did end up just resigning. And I didn't have anything lined up, but I was like, I'll figure something out. But I can't do this anymore. I need a break. And so we pulled my son out of daycare, and he was home with me, and I was able to go back to North Carolina and like spend some time with my mom. So, and really just kind of like reassess like my priorities in my life, and like, what do I want? I feel like I had just been on this path of climbing the corporate ladder for so long, like since college, and I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to do. It's like, get married, buy a house, like keep just staying in the same job, like all these things you're like checking off your list. And I was like, but am I really happy and fulfilled? And like, yes, I love my family, and I'm like happy I'm a mother, but I felt like there was something missing. And I just like didn't ever have like the space and the time to sit down and really like do the soul searching and like figure out what that was. And there was some things that came up for me in the middle of me doing Rodan and Fields and stuff. And I was like, I really felt called to speak to other women, especially people in corporate positions, and kind of show them that there is another way if that's something that you want. And that really like empower other people that nothing's going to change unless you make a change. Like I could have just stayed there and stayed doing the same thing and gone through the motions. And I probably would have, like, honestly, if my mom hadn't gotten sick and I felt all those things, like I didn't want to put my son in daycare, like this strong instinct to like have him home. But everyone was like, it's just what you do. It's just like, that's what everyone says. That's what society says, is like, you just aren't, even if you feel that way, that's just what you do. And so I ended up just quitting and walking away, which everyone thought I was like crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, they're like, what do you mean you're quitting a job without another job? And I was like, I don't even know if I want to work anymore, like in the traditional sense. And then they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. So yeah, I took some time. I took 8 months off. And I knew there was something to like consulting work in my industry. And I put some feelers out, and I ended up picking up some like consulting work that was part-time. It was just like 10 or 15 hours, but it really just, it was enough to get us by. So it didn't matter at that time. I really wanted to be spending my time with my son while he was younger, and being able to just drop what I was doing, go to North Carolina, be with my family through my mom's chemo. And so that stuff kind of came to me, which really helped us out, because like we wouldn't have been able to pay our bills without it. But it gave me the flexibility, and like the pressure was off, because I was a consultant. I was just billing for my time. I didn't have these like ties to a company and stuff. And during then, I got the idea. I had gone to a female women's entrepreneur event. It was called Pays to Be Brave, and it was in San Diego. It's by Angie Lee. She has a podcast too. It was awesome. So I went there, and there I had the idea to do a podcast. And of course, then all the doubt came in of like, who am I to do this? I don't know, like other people have more experience in the industry than me. Other people know more than me. And during the event, she had us write a letter to ourselves, like in the present tense, a year in advance. And it was like, she ended up taking the letter and mailing it back to us in a year. And she actually mailed it. Yeah, she mailed it like a few months before the year anniversary. And I got the letter in the mail, and it said, I have a podcast. I've started this. And I was like, and it was like a couple of months when it would have been like the official year anniversary. And I was like, no, I really want to do this. And I had hired a business coach at the time, who is Allie Reeves. And so I don't know if anyone on this platform knows Allie, but she's amazing. And I did her mastermind because I'm pretty driven, and I was serious about like making this work. But at the same time, like I wanted to look to someone that had like done it before, so that I'm not sitting here spinning my wheels on logistics and things that, would take me a lot of time to figure out. So I started working with her, and she had launched her podcast, Six Figure Influencer, already and stuff. So I told her I had this idea, and she was like, yeah, you should definitely do it. So she kind of helped me with like telling me like where to go and what to do. And I kind of came up with the graphics and the name for Ambitious Soul like all in a weekend. And I knew like the power behind it was the people that I wanted to interview, was to really like, I only want to interview like women entrepreneurs and really share their stories. And I had a handful. I probably had like 5 people, that I thought I wanted to interview, but I was like, like, I don't know how I'm going to fill the rest of it out. But once I started, people started like coming to me, like everyone I asked said yes. And it was very like effortless and flowy. And so I was like, I know it's right. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. And we're about to be at episode 20 now. So 20 weeks.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Thanks. Of going so we have a new episode that comes out every Tuesday, and I'm just finishing up the 20th one right now.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the health thing. Like when you had your mom put down, or your aunt put diagnosed with cancer and then your mom, then how did you feel about yourself? Like, tell me about that, because I know.
Yeah, I mean, it was really scary. It was really scary, especially since I was a new mom, you know, and it was like, we saw my aunt die. And so then it's like, was my mom going to die? Like, am I going to die? And if I, you know, it just really, it changed my perspective of really like living for the day and not just like living for the weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, oh, I'm just going through the motions and grinding through my week and waiting till Friday to like spend time with my family or do what I want to do, and really like being present and doing something that like brings me joy and sparks enlightenment in me on a daily basis. And because you know, I mean, tomorrow really isn't promised to anyone, even a healthy person. I just feel like it was very like in my face all at once, of just like not knowing what's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, I had to go through testing and stuff, and then my husband and I, when we were trying to have our second baby, we actually went through 2 miscarriages back to back. And so then I went and did testing for all of that, because I was like, is there something genetically, you know, is there any predisposition genetically that's causing this? Like, is there something that's causing this? And then that like arose a scare of like, well, is it something like cancer related that's causing this that they just didn't pick up yet? So we went through a bunch of testing for all that. So it's been a rocky road, like the past 2 years, like with my family and with myself health wise. And so like, we're really excited that, you know, we have a healthy pregnancy now and it's going well. Yeah.
Okay. So you like just hearing all this, you are so strong to
Thank you.
every situation when it comes, you know, when it comes to jobs and health and all that stuff. You took something negative and turn it into a positive thing. You went after, you know, something that could drive you and your family to success. And I love that. And I love that. So share, like, what is your life motto? Like, what is the quote that you always fall back on to help you get through?
Right. Yeah. I actually have it on my bulletin board right now. It's, you alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. And that's a quote by Maya Angelou. And that really resonates with me because I feel like a lot of my identity was tied up in my career, because I was, you know, in the corporate world for so long. And then it was like, when I quit, people were like, oh, you're just a mom, you know, you're just quitting to be a mom now. And I felt it was a lot of feelings came up for me or that. And then it was like my identity kind of got wrapped up in being a mother. And then when I started a business, or, you know, the podcast and everything, it's like, as an entrepreneur, when it's just you, a lot's on your shoulders, especially in the beginning, where like, if you aren't doing something, like the needle isn't moving forward, you know, like if you're not producing content, like writing, if you're not doing something, nothing's happening. And so it took me a really long time to differentiate like my worth from how my business was doing, and like money coming in, or even just like reactions I was getting from people, you know, engagement coming back to me, and just saying like, no, like I'm enough just being human. Like I'm enough just as I am, regardless of like what my title is, how many kids I have, what my business is doing. Like I'm enough. And I really like to share that message with other people, because I want them to know that you're enough just as you are.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All women and men need to hear that. They all need to hear that. I'm so glad you shared that. Okay, so where do you go from here, and what are your goals going forward?
Yeah. So, I mean, the podcast, like I said, it's 20 episodes as of right now, which is crazy. So moving into 2020, like really planning out the content from that up until I'll probably go from January to June, and then take a break when the baby's born in June. And so really, you know, getting new interviews, getting myself on other people's podcasts is a big goal of mine, to try and get more exposure to the show and to be able to share, you know, my platform and what I'm about with other audiences. And then, I just recently, the beginning of December, I decided to take on a few one-on-one coaching clients for people that were just starting out, needed some help with social media and branding. I had done I had been to a few workshops on that, and it was like what I was really passionate about and stuff.
Yeah.
So I opened up a few slots, and I got 2 clients, and I have one. Yeah, I know. I have 1 slot left, just because that was like all my schedule could really take on right now. So moving into 2020, I see myself doing some sort of like group coaching program was what I really want to launch moving in, where I can take on more people in a group setting, because I'm having a lot of fun with the one-on-one clients, but what I really crave and what I feel like I'm missing is that sense of community. And when you bring like women together, especially in a group setting, like even if you have different backgrounds or your businesses are different, you know, it's like you have that common bond, and then you can support each other. And so I really would love to create that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1000%, because community is incredibly important. And that's also what Able is doing as well, is helping people who have things that disabling them in life. Like for you, it was your career, it was your health with the family, and you found a way to turn that disabled into able.
Yeah.
By, you know, starting your own business and, you know, getting the health check, you know, for yourself and taking care of your family and whatnot. So that is so awesome. I absolutely love your story, and I just love your motivation for life. And I love the fact that you also mentioned in the notes here that do the things you want to do. Stop waiting for the right time or caring about what other people think of you. You have one life. Make it count by following your institution and what the heart wants you to be doing in this world. I love that. 1000%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where can my followers find you if they have any questions?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm at Christy Lepley, and then the podcast has its own Instagram at Ambitious Soul Podcast, where I share on there quotes, and then it'll be episodes of guests. So if there's someone you're searching for, or you want to find their episode, you can click on that and then see which episode it aired. And then also my website is at ambitioussoul.co. So they can go there and check out anything new I'm offering.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming here, opening up your heart and your story. I know you will inspire many people.
Thanks. Yeah, feel free to reach out.
It's great chatting with you, and hopefully we'll follow up one day.
Yeah, that sounds great. Awesome. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye.